Hello, if you're new here, which you probably are, welcome in. My name is Laura, and this is a Speedpaint. As a person that likes D&D and making little guys, I thought I would try a little design challenge of sorts. So today I'm drawing D&D races that nobody ever plays, and I'm going to be trying to make some fun player character ideas that might make them a little more enticing. That said, I know a reason a lot of these guys aren't played often is either due to not being in the base player's handbook, i.e., paywalled, or because their stats aren't the best or can easily be replaced with a different race, but I still thought it would be fun to put together a party that you'd rarely see online, so don't at me. To start off, we actually are doing a player's handbook race, and probably the most popular of the unpopular ones I've chosen. Our first character is a gnome. I think a lot of folks just prefer to do a halfling if they're gonna make a small little guy, and to be honest, I think the player's handbook doesn't really do a very good job of selling gnomes by making them sound very cool or epic. They kind of come off as like a goofy little weirdo who loves having fun, and I understand that that might be kind of hard for some people to mold into like the heroic Lord of the Rings style PC they're imagining in their head. So for this PC, I tried my best to make him reasonably cool. I wanted to try and make a character that could be taken seriously. I imagine this guy was at some point like the go-between for his village and some guild or another, and at some point maybe he messed up a deal between them and ended up leaving in disgrace. He takes a lot of joy in the art of the deal, and he's kind of got like used car salesman vibes. And he's either looking out to clear his good name or looking to gain power to get revenge or just trying to escape his reputation. And in that same vein, I made him a warlock. Maybe his patron is more scared of him than he is of it, I don't know. The tail is there to differentiate him more as a gnome than a halfling. I've seen people give their gnomes more Spiderwick style pseudo-animal features, and I just think that's kind of neat. But here he is. His name is Set, and he's my attempt at making a reasonably serious gnome PC. Sorry for the space on the side. I thought that I was gonna do all of these in one file, and then I didn't. Next up, we have a race from the Mythic Odysseys of Theros supplement. It's a race that looks at tabaxis and begs the question, but what if they had bigger boobies? This is a Leonin. Basically, I think a lot of folks don't really make Leonin because the tabaxi is right there, so it's kind of another gnome halfling tomato potato situation. For my Leonin, not only did I immediately jump on the Kimba the White Lion and spell because I thought it was funny, I also wanted to play on the source material describing them as confident and proud. I imagine this guy was actually trained from a young age to be some kind of gladiator because I think the Greco-Roman influence is already right there in your face. But I actually think he, in particular, maybe gets thrown out there in his first match and he absolutely just, loses miserably. And it's so pitiful that even the lord in charge of it, or whoever decides killing him to end it, like usual, would just be so pitiful and so pathetic. They just send this guy out in disgrace and, banish him. And from then on, he's utterly ashamed. He starts training to get stronger. And I think there are a few ways you can take the story from there. Maybe he can never quite get a grasp on physical strength, so he turns to magic, or maybe he makes a pact to get it. Maybe he dedicates himself to go to religion and becomes like a diehard cleric. Or maybe, and the case I go with, is like a One Punch Man situation, where he gets ridiculously strong, but he doesn't see how strong he is. He's still kind of down on himself and downplays his ability a lot, but his party's always like, dude, holy hell, you just threw a building? Because every party needs a big himbo, and Leonin seemed just kind of exactly right for that. And not to be too cheeky, but I did end up naming him Lightning, so sorry about it. Don't be too fooled by this next one. While she may look human, this is a Kalashtar, which is a race from Eberron. They're pretty interesting, actually. They share a headspace with a spirit race called the Quarry, but if you're not playing in Eberron specifically, I think this can be easily reflavored into some kind of spirit from any different plane. Kalashtar have telepathic abilities and do not dream, but instead are shown memories from their spirit headmate. So I decided to flavor based on that little factoid. Basically, for my Kalashtar, I thought it would be funny to make her sort of creepy in an endearing kind of way. She's the group ingenue, and she's out adventuring because she has fallen in love with somebody she saw in her dreams. The catch, of course, being that obviously isn't a dream, it's a memory. So she has reasonable faith that that person actually exists somewhere. I think something like this creates this interesting dynamic where that person could be dead, or in a different plane, or another spirit in another person's head. And there's complicated stuff to unpack, like, are these really her feelings, or is she just experiencing the spirit's feelings? Is she just a vessel running an errand for them? Is she obligated to even do that? And what if she never finds this dream person? What then, you know? So lots of fun stuff to play around with, and lots of fun potential to ever accidentally dropping telepathic thoughts into people's heads, or trying to keep things secret but doing that instead, trying to relate to others but always coming off just a little bit weird. I feel like this race kind of has a potential to blow up a little bit because there's a lot of like venom flavoring you could even do that I think could be fun. But every group needs a creepy little weirdo, and I ended up naming her Tari, I think? Yeah, Tari. So here she is. Second to last one, I'm pretty sure people don't play because it's really hard to make hot and sexy art of them. This is a Gith out of Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. There are two subsets of Gith that kind of have Sparta-Athens energy, with the more warlike Githyanki and the Githzerai, which are more scholarly. But for this particular character, I didn't really specify because I feel like his background could easily be either, up to you. Basically, the Gith are split due to civil conflict within their race, and I wanted to make a sort of veteran old guy that's super over it. Whatever faction he came from, he's seen it all, and he's tired of it. He's trying to get away from it, and maybe that's kind of hard because of how identifiable he is as like a big yellow man. And while the Gith are straight out of like a Tome of Foes, I guess it's heavily up to you whether or not he's out to do more ruthless deeds in his retirement, or if he's trying to set things straight, or if he just doesn't care and is trying to live his life. I gave him a funky little red drake pet because Githyanki are known to ride red dragons into battle, and I thought it was funny. Maybe he thought the same, or maybe he saw this dumpy little guy for sale or eating garbage or whatever, and he stole it or adopted it, or it followed him home, and now they're pals. Old man and service animal, classic trope. His name is Oil, and I didn't name the drake. I'm sorry. His name is your name. He's named after you. So this is Oil and his pet. Your name here. As for our final catch of the day, it is only an uncommon race because the source material was just recently put out. I think it came out like the end of September or something. I thought it would be fun to do one of the newer races from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight adventure that Wizards of the Coast just put out, and I ended up choosing the Harengon because I think it might even have the potential to become more popular given the affinity for some players to gravitate towards making something fun and furry adjacent. I've also been seeing a little more interest in Fae lore recently, at least in my circles, and these guys come straight from the Feywild, so there's lots to play with there. In terms of what I did, I really just sat down and made, I guess for lack of a better word, a fucking tourist. This character is, I imagine, in the mortal realm or whatever setting you're playing in to sightsee, or to learn maybe, but mostly to sightsee. Maybe they come from some kind of Fae court originally, or at least some sort of lackadaisical high-end community with weird rules. Having a Fae character is kind of an invitation to make someone unaccustomed to the world around them. Having them be a little out of touch and a little odd is kind of dead set into the molding there. On top of that, why not make them also a vapid rich person? So this is the party rich person. This is mostly because the rest of the party thus far was very driven and like redemption focused, and I figured I needed at least one that was a little less serious. Rabbit and people clothes seem like the perfect motive for that, so with that I give you our final guy. Their name is Leopine, and they are probably the group wallet, if they happen to understand human money, which they might not. Don't worry about it. I don't know. That concludes our party designs. I hope at least one of them is interesting to you. I hope that you leave this video feeling a little inspired for characters that aren't your standard half-elf. Again, I didn't make any of these guys to be like optimized for like certain builds. I didn't like research the best possible race to put them as. I just kind of went off of vibes because that's usually how I make my own D&D characters anyways. I've made some real stinkers in terms of stats, I will admit that. But making characters has always been really fun for me, and I know I didn't even touch on half of the less common D&D characters, some of which are vetoed a lot based on like awkward shape and size alone. I know even I have vetoed a couple of races at my table because I did not think they would work at all. But maybe I'll make another installment someday and cover some of those, try to think of some solutions for how to get a centaur into a situation that a centaur definitely shouldn't be in. And if you have played one of these races, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below, or hear about how you might add to or alter the templates I've laid down here. What would you change about their backstories? What kind of class would you put them as for the people that I didn't specify classes as? Regardless, thank you for joining me on my first and, as of right now, only Speedpaint video. If you want to see more of my stuff for whatever reason, I go by Lemon Brows pretty much everywhere. At Lemon Brows on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Patreon, and I own a .com domain, so there's that. That all said, I have to go. I have to drink 8 glasses of milk and sit alone in a room. Bye! Yeah, I don't know how to get any other music. I'm looking for like royalty-free background music because some of it stresses me out because I'm like, is putting it on YouTube still royalty-free? I mean, I'm definitely not making money off of these, right? So like, technically, yeah, I don't know. Like I took that whole copyright law class in my senior year and what did I retain? What did I gain from it? What a mess. And like, it's just